Do you know what's funny about pain? It's like a fire. It doesn't just burn you, it reveals what's beneath the surface. When life sets you ablaze, the weak and the fake vanish like paper in a furnace. But what's real? That survives. That grows stronger. You see, pain doesn't destroy you. It weeds out the imposters in your life. God? Oh, he has a twisted sense of humor. He lets the storm rage, the walls collapse, and your so-called allies scatter into the shadows. Why? To show you who's real and who's just a figment of convenience. People think betrayal is the worst thing that can happen to them. But let me ask you, what's worse? The knife in your back or the realization that you handed them the blade? Oh, that's the punchline. We're all complicit in our own downfall. We surround ourselves with people who clap for our victories, but vanish when the applause dies down. God doesn't take them away to punish you. He removes them to protect you. A farmer doesn't hate the weeds. He's just making room for the crop to thrive. Ah, but here's the kicker. Losing those fake ones feels like death, doesn't it? You've built your castle, brick by brick, with their words, their promises, their empty reassurances. And when they leave, the castle collapses. But maybe, just maybe, God isn't destroying your castle. He's demolishing a prison you mistook for a palace. Because here's the secret. The people who left, they weren't your foundation. They were your chains. Have you ever noticed how silence grows louder when you're alone? It's deafening, isn't it? The kind of silence that forces you to confront yourself. No distractions, no echo chambers, no masks. Just you. That's when the truth starts to creep in, like a shadow crawling across the floor. You realize that strength isn't found in numbers, it's forged in solitude. Think about it. Diamonds aren't created in comfort. They're born under pressure, in the dark, alone. God's not punishing you by isolating you. He's refining you, sharpening you, making you unbreakable. Let's talk about the ones who left, the ones who smiled to your face and whispered venom behind your back, the ones who held your hand while digging your grave. Oh, they thought they were clever, didn't they? Thought they could leave you broken, gasping for air, begging for their return. But here's the twist. Their betrayal wasn't your end. It was your beginning. Because every time someone walks away, they're handing you a gift. The gift of clarity. Clarity to see who you are without their shadow hanging over you. People love to talk about growth, like it's some gentle, upward curve. But real growth? It's brutal. It's raw. It's losing parts of yourself you thought you couldn't live without. It's tearing away from people who felt like home, only to realize they were poison disguised as comfort. Growth is ugly before it's beautiful. It's a battlefield, not a garden. And the casualties? They're the fake ones. The ones who never deserved a front row seat to your journey. You know what's funny? The fake ones always think they're leaving you weaker. They think their absence will break you, leave you hollow and desperate. But they don't realize they're doing you a favor. Their absence creates space for something better. It's like pruning a tree. You cut off the dead branches, and suddenly, the whole thing flourishes. The same principle applies to your life. God doesn't weed out the fake ones to hurt you. He does it to give you room to grow. But let's be honest, growth is terrifying. It's stepping into the unknown without a safety net. It's standing in the wreckage of what was and daring to build something new. And the worst part? You don't get to take everyone with you. Some people are only meant to be chapters in your story, not the whole book. The hardest lesson you'll ever learn is that loyalty isn't always mutual. But here's the thing. God sees what you can't. He sees the conversations behind closed doors, the hidden agendas, the secret betrayals. And when he removes someone from your life, it's not rejection. It's redirection. Let's shift gears for a moment. Have you ever heard of a forest fire? Of course you have. But here's what most people don't know. Those fires aren't just destructive. They're necessary. The heat opens up seeds that would never sprout otherwise. The ash enriches the soil, making it fertile for new growth. That's what loss does to you. It burns away the old, the fake, the unnecessary. And in the aftermath, you find fertile ground to grow stronger, wiser, better. And then there's the waiting. Oh, the waiting. That's the cruelest part, isn't it? You're left standing in the ashes, wondering if anything good will ever come from it. But here's the truth. God doesn't leave you in the fire. He walks with you through it. And on the other side, that's where you find the strength you never knew you had. The kind of strength that can't be shaken by fake smiles or empty promises. The kind of strength that's unyielding, unbreakable. You start to see the patterns. The people who left were never meant to stay. The pain you endured wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to shape you. Every betrayal, every loss, every dark moment, it's all part of the process. You're not losing. You're learning. Learning to stand on your own. Learning to trust yourself. Learning to recognize what's real and what's not. And here's the irony. The ones who left, they were never strong enough to handle your strength. They saw your potential and feared it. They knew they couldn't keep up, so they bowed out. Let them go. Their departure isn't your loss, it's your liberation. Because the truth is, you don't need them. You never did. The only thing you ever needed was within you all along. But that's the trick, isn't it? Making you believe that their presence was essential, that without them, you'd crumble. It's the biggest lie they ever told. And now that they're gone, you can finally see the truth. You were never broken. You were just buried under the weight of their expectations, their insecurities, their lies. And now you're free. So here you are, standing in the rubble, the fire still smoldering around you. What do you do? Do you mourn what you've lost, or do you rise from the ashes? That's the question, isn't it? But the answer has been within you all along. You know, they say madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But I'd argue that's not madness. That's hope. And hope is a funny thing. It's both your greatest strength and your deepest weakness. People cling to it like a life raft, even as the waters rise. But what if the raft is what's holding you back? What if you let go and find that you can swim? Oh, the chaos of it all. The unpredictability. That's where the magic happens, my friend. When you let the fire consume you and emerge as something untouchable, something unstoppable. So what's it going to be? Are you ready to shed the dead weight to embrace the chaos, to let the fire do its work? Or are you still clinging to the ashes of what once was? Tick-tock, tick-tock. Time's running out. But don't worry, the best stories always start in the dark. And you're just getting started. You see, the real fun begins when the ashes cool, when the world expects you to crawl, to beg for scraps of the life you once had. But no, not you. You're not just surviving, you're transforming. There's a beauty in the breakdown, a kind of poetry in the chaos. God or fate, or whatever puppet master pulls the strings, doesn't just strip you down for the sake of destruction. No, no, no. The demolition, that's the prelude, the overture. The stage being set for your grand emergence. The ones who left, they thought they buried you. What they didn't realize is that you're a seed. And seeds, they only grow when they're buried in the dark. Oh, the irony. They thought they were erasing you, but all they did was give you the perfect conditions to rise, stronger, fiercer, untouchable. They were the wind, and you're the fire that uses it to rage higher. Can't you see? Their betrayal, their absence, it was never about them. It was always about you. Now, let's talk about pain again, shall we? People treat it like it's this uninvited guest, an intruder. But what if pain isn't the villain of your story? What if it's the mentor? Every tear, every scar, every sleepless night, it's carving you into something magnificent. Diamonds don't resent the pressure. Swords don't curse the flames. And you don't break under the weight of it all. You bend, you mold, and then you strike. But here's the part they don't tell you. Strength isn't loud. It doesn't boast, doesn't scream for attention. Real strength, it's quiet. It's in the way you stand tall when the world wants you to kneel. It's in the way you smile, not because life is perfect, but because you faced the worst and you're still here. The fake ones, the liars, the betrayers, they can't comprehend that. They think strength is dominance, control, manipulation. But you know better. Strength is resilience. It's the art of enduring. Let's revisit the silence, shall we? That deafening void that follows when the crowd disperses, when the cheers die down. Most people fear it, run from it. But you've learned to embrace it. Because in the silence, there's clarity. In the silence, there's truth. And the truth, it's liberating. You don't need them. You never did. The ones who left were placeholders, filler characters in the epic tale that is your life. They were the noise, the distractions, the static. And now you have the stage to yourself. Picture a phoenix for a moment. It doesn't rise from the ashes with a whimper, with hesitation. It bursts forth in a blaze of glory, defying the very notion of death. That's you. The fire wasn't your end. It was your beginning. And the ashes? They're not your remnants. They're your foundation. The fake ones didn't understand that. They thought they were leaving you broken, shattered. But all they did was strip away the unnecessary, the superficial, the weak. What's left is pure. What's left is unbreakable. But let's get darker, shall we? Because life isn't all about poetic rebirths and grand comebacks. Sometimes it's raw, brutal, honest. Sometimes it's looking in the mirror and confronting the monster within. And here's the twist. That monster, It's not your enemy. It's your ally. It's the part of you that refuses to bow, refuses to settle. The part of you that thrives in the darkness. People are so quick to suppress their shadows, to hide their flaws. But you've learned to harness yours. Because even shadows have their purpose. Even monsters have their beauty. The people who left couldn't see that. They wanted the polished version of you, the agreeable, the compliant. They didn't have the stomach for the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are. And that's their loss. Because the truth, it's terrifying, but it's also freeing. When you stop pretending, when you shed the masks and the facades, you become unstoppable. And those who can't handle it, they're simply clearing the way for those who can. You start to notice something funny about people. The fake ones, they're loud, obnoxious, always desperate to prove their worth, to validate their existence. But the real ones, they're quiet. They don't need to shout their loyalty, their love, their authenticity. They show it. They live it. And when God weeds out the fake ones, it's His way of making room for the real ones. The ones who will stand with you in the fire, not just in the sunshine. The ones who don't flinch when the masks come off. And here's the kicker. The more you grow, the more you'll attract the right people. It's inevitable, like a moth to a flame. But here's the catch. You have to let the wrong ones go first. You can't hold on to the dead weight and expect to soar. It's a painful process, yes, but it's necessary. Growth demands sacrifice. And the biggest sacrifice, letting go of what no longer serves you, even if it once felt like everything. Let's wrap this up with a question. A simple one, but profound. What are you holding on to that's holding you back? Think about it. Let it sink in. Because the truth is, you already know the answer. You've always known. The fake ones, the toxic ones, the ones who drained you of your light, they're not your anchors. They're your shackles. And it's time to break free. But breaking free, it's not just about walking away. It's about running towards something greater, toward your purpose, toward your destiny. And that's the beauty of it all. Every betrayal, every loss, every scar, it's all leading you there, to the person you were always meant to be. So here we are at the end of this little chat. Or is it the beginning? You decide. Because the stage is yours now. The spotlight is on you. And the world, oh, it's waiting to see what you'll do next. So, what's it going to be? Are you going to let the ashes define you? Or are you going to rise from them? The choice is yours. But remember this, the best stories, the ones that linger, the ones that echo, they're never about the ones who left. They're about the one who stayed, the one who rose, the one who refused to be defeated. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The clock is ticking, but don't rush. Take your time, because when you do rise, and you will, it's going to be a spectacle, a masterpiece, a moment they'll never forget. And you'll be unstoppable. Because the truth is, my friend, you've already won. You just don't know it yet. And now, with every breath, every step, you're rewriting the narrative. Not for them, but for yourself. The ones who doubted, who laughed, who walked away, they are the footnotes. But you're the headline. the force of nature that refuses to be defined by anything other than your own relentless spirit. They say the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Well, congratulations. You've been through the inferno, and now you're indestructible. Here's the real question, though. What will you do with this strength, this clarity? Will you seek revenge? Will you chase validation? Or will you rise above it all, untouchable and unshaken? Because the truth, my friend, is that nothing shakes the unshakable. And you are that unshakable force. So take a bow, because the show isn't over. It's just getting started. And when the world watches, and they will, let them see not just someone who survived, but someone who thrived. Someone who turned their scars into stories, their pain into power, their ashes into an empire. Let them witness your ascension. Let them feel the weight of your presence. Because this is your moment. This is your masterpiece. And they'll never forget it. Never.